Hello everyone, this is Lexicon Architect, and for today's commander, I'm going to be presenting to you one of the most fun commanders that I built for my YouTube channel. It is the Mycotryant, a 3-mana Golgari Elder Fungus that has Trample, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures control that are fungus and or saplings. And then, at the beginning of your end step, you create X11 black fungus creature tokens with this creature cannot block, where X is the number of times you descend this turn. So basically, descending is whenever a card is put into the graveyard from anywhere. So if we put 3 cards in a graveyard, this is going to trigger our commander on our end step, and we're going to make 3 black fungus creature tokens. So at mana value 1, we have Death Bonded Sprout. That at the beginning of our upkeep, you mill a card, and then if there are 3 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you transform it. So let's say we get our commander out turn 2, turn 3. We play this. It's going to allow us to start milling ourselves and generating our fungus creature tokens. Then we have Skull Clamp to draw us cards off of the fungus tokens. Stitcher Supply helps us mill 3 cards when it ETBs or when it dies. At mana value 2, we have Deathcap Marionette. When it enters the battlefield, you mill 2 cards, so it's a very good card to allow us to get stuff into the grave. Deadly Dispute allows us to either sacrifice an artifact or a creature, so we can sack our fungus to draw 2 cards and create a treasure. Then we have Plumb the Forbidden to sacrifice our fungus tokens to allow us to draw a bunch of cards. We will lose 1 life for each card we draw, but that doesn't really matter too much. Then we have Zulaport Cutthroat, that whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain a life. At mana value 3, we have Aryara. Basically, when it or another black creature enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. And then you can sacrifice another black creature to draw a card by tapping this. And since our funguses are black, we can use them to sacrifice to this. Then we have Beastmaster's Ascension. Whenever a creature you control attacks, you may put a quest counter on it. And then if there are 7 or more quest counters on it, all of our creatures get +5/+5. Then I want to talk about Growing Rites of Itlimoc. Is basically Gaia's Cradle, but on an enchantment. So when it ETBs, you look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom. And then at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, you transform it, and then it becomes this. You can either tap it for a green or just tap it to add green for each creature you control. Then we have Jaheira, Friend of the Forest. This allows us to use our fungus or saplings to be tapped to add green mana, so it turns them into mana dorks for us. Then we have Old Rustine, that says when it enters the battlefield or at the beginning of your upkeep, you mill a card. If a land was milled this way, you create a treasure. If a creature was milled this way, create an insect token. And if it's a non-creature, non-land, you create a blood token, which can be used to pitch away a card to draw a card. Next, we have Planeteer of Orthanc. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but at the beginning of your end step, you put an influence counter on it, then you scry 2. Then you choose a target opponent. They may have you draw a card, and if they don't, you mill X cards, where X is the number of influence counters on this artifact, and then that player loses life equal to the total mana value of these cards. So as long as this stays out, it's just going to keep putting influence counters on it. If they decide not to let you draw a card, you can burn out an opponent. So let's say we have 5 or 6 influence counters on this. They decide to mill us. We're going to descend and then drain them for the total mana value of those cards. Then we have Phyrexian Arena to help us draw cards. During our upkeep, we get an additional card, and then we lose a life. At mana value 4, we have Guardian Project to help us draw cards. Mirkwood Bats to allow us to drain our opponent whenever we create a token. At mana value 5, we have Moldervine Reclamation. Whenever a creature you control dies, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Then we have Mycotryant with Devour 2. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, create a green Sapperlung creature token for each 1/1 counter on it. So with the Devour 2 ability, it's going to allow us to eat alive our tokens and then create more Sapperlings. Then for late game, we have Overwhelming Stampede. Until the end of turn, creatures you control gain trample and get XX, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. And then lastly, Tendershoot Dryad with Ascend. So if you control 10 or more permanents, you get City's Blessing for the rest of the game. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, you create a Sapperling creature token, and then Sapperlings you control get +2/+2 as long as you have City's Blessing. As far as utility lands go, we have Bojuka Bog to eat alive an opponent's grave, Cabal Coffer to help us draw, Hidden Necropolis for the Discover 4 ability, Hidden Nursery for the Discover 4 ability, and Restless Cottage is one of our animation lands for 4. Becomes a 4/4 black and green horror creature until the end of the turn. And then when it attacks, you create a food token, which is good for us because it can help us gain some life. And then we exile up to 1 target card from that opponent's graveyard. So that's it in a nutshell. This deck is going to cost you $316. If you like this style of content, please hit the subscribe button that's in the bottom right of my YouTube video. If not, you can just still go to my channel and hit the subscribe button. And I hope you have a good day.